Welcome, welcome. All righty. Buenos dias. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This is Jamie Irvin filling in for our Alyssa Pinkleton. On today, we have our pre-market information. We are going to go ahead and get started and jump right in. We got some market movers already happening this morning. Looks like the Match Group, NVIDIA are two of them so far. We might as well check out what happened with earnings since that is already at the beginning. So yesterday after close, we had Meta, ARM, Qualcomm, which all three of those is tech, Carvana, Lam Research, Western Digital. I believe Lam and Western Digital are also tech. Riot, Agnico, Eagle, Albemarle, and Paycom. Paycom is in the tech space, not necessarily semiconductor space. Before open today, Moderna, Canadian Natural Crocs, Mobileye, ConocoPhillips, Wayfair, Sirius XM, Canada Goose, Eaton, and First Majestic. That's this morning before open. Of course, after close today, we have Amazon, Apple, Intel, Coinbase, DraftKings, Roku, Block, Marathon, Booking Holdings, and Mercado Libre. One thing to keep in mind is Marathon, Block are both in the Bitcoin space along with Riot. So those three are in the same space. So that's something to keep in mind if you are trading Riot, since they had their earnings on yesterday. Obviously, Amazon and Apple seem to carry their own weight, and Intel, still not sure what it's doing. Tomorrow morning, we have more oil stepping in, ExxonMobil, Chevron. And then we have Sundial, Frontier, Magna, Advanced 6, Asbury Motor Group, Automotive Group, Enbridge, Fluor, and Plains All-American Pipeline. So that's going to be a strong, what looks to be a strong oil-related, gas-related earnings for tomorrow. All right. Let's take a look at our pre-market. We got the Dow futures currently up 0.10%. S&P futures up 0.51%. NASDAQ futures up 0.56%. The S&P futures rise after Meta posts quarterly beat. Asia is mixed, mostly down. Nikkei is down the most at 2.49%. And Asia mixed after Powell signals rate cut. Japan stocks tumble as yen strengthens. For Europe, everything is down. And for Europe, DAX is down 1.09%, CAC down 1.19%, and FTSE Milano is down 1.30%. European markets move lower as Bank of England cuts rates. Rolls-Royce is up 11%. For us, the VIX is down slightly, 1.77%. It is at 16.07. 16.07. 0.07. Right? We have things happening on today in terms of our Forex Factory calendar. All day, orange folder, OPEC, JMMC meetings. OPEC, of course, is the oil. And so no surprise that tomorrow has a lot of oil being reported. ConocoPhillips reported on this morning, right there. So we have its competitors stepping in on tomorrow. So for the OPEC, we got that. We got the 7:30 a.m. was the Challenger job cuts year over year. 8:30 unemployment claims was reported. Red folder. We had two yellow folders: preliminary non-farm productivity quarter over quarter, preliminary unit labor cost quarter over quarter. At 9:45, we're going to have an orange folder: final manufacturing PMI, orange folder. Also at 10 o'clock, we got a red and the orange folder: ISM manufacturing PMI and the ISM manufacturing prices. Yellow folder follows that with construction spending month over month. And then, of course, we have the all day. We have the awards total vehicle sales. Finally, at 10:30 a.m., we have the natural gas storage. So according to this, we still have all day this orange folder happening up here and the yellow folder happening right here. So OPEC and awards total vehicle sales was happening all day, according to Forex Factory. For investing.com, of course, investing.com tends to have a little more information, a little more detail. So we have some info that's already being reported. So we had the Challenger job cuts year over year. That was forecast at 9.2%. The Challenger job cuts for July, these did not have impact. These were 1 stars, so no major impact. For the continuing jobless claims was a little bit higher than what was forecast, so that was a 2-star. The 3-star for the initial jobless claims was 249, which was higher than forecast. That was 3 stars. The jobless claims 4-week average seems to be about neutral. Non-farm productivity quarter over quarter for quarter 2 is better than forecast. That's 2 stars. And then unit labor cost quarter over quarter for quarter 2 is 2 stars. It is down slightly, less than forecast. We have the S&P Global U.S. Manufacturing PMI for July. That's 3 stars coming up. Construction spending month over month for June coming up, 2 stars. Also 2 stars, the ISM manufacturing employment for July. 1 star is the new orders index for ISM manufacturing for July. And then the ISM manufacturing PMI for July is 3 stars. 3 stars over here for the ISM manufacturing prices for July as well. 10:30, natural gas storage, 1 star. 11:30, we have 2 1-star events: 4-week bill auction, 8-week bill auction. 12:30, Atlanta Fed GDP now quarter 3. That's 2 stars. So the last thing that's happening at 12:30 is 2 stars. And then at 4:30, we got the Fed balance sheet, which is 2 stars. And then the reserve balances with the Federal Reserve banks. So that is 1 star. At the end, we will be out of the market. So we do have some things sprinkled throughout the day for us to keep our eyes on. In terms of what we normally call a 10 o'clock turnaround, we do have some events that are being reported during that time. Just to be aware, though, we call it the 10 o'clock turnaround, but that doesn't mean that just because these are 2 and 3 stars that it directly affects the 10 o'clock time frame. We use that, we use it as an example. We use these as guidelines to give us an idea of what could be happening. We've seen it happen where everything was green, which was good for the economy, But that doesn't mean that SPX went up just because everything was green, and vice versa. If everything is down, that doesn't mean it's dropping. So, but we just use these as a guideline. So just keep that in mind when we have these things sprinkled in, orange folders, 3 stars. These are just guidelines that we are using overall. We already did our earnings. So here's what we got for Mancini. On Tuesday, I wrote that as long as 5408 key support holds, SPX can break out of its 5408, 5498 multi-day range. I think that should be 5508. Multi-day range to 5555. We hit 5555 for a 150 plus point rally. Multi-day range break. Plan today, hold runners 5542, 5528 to 30 is support. If it keeps 55.55, 55.75 and higher is live. If 55.28 fails, 55.16, 54.98 is where we will end up. So let's do 55.28 on here. This is SPX. And I'm going to switch this up a little bit since we are using this one. We'll apply. We get a darker background so you guys can see it clearly. Or shall I say more clear? All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to put 55.28 on here and 55.28. And give me 1 second. Going to, this is not, you guys are not seeing the screen you should be seeing. So let's try this again. Share screen. Try this. There you go. There you go. All right, we're gonna make a couple changes real quick to the appearance. Give us some lighten this up a little bit. Just trying to get it a little bit clearer so you guys can see it. Hopefully that clears it up a tad bit. So we're doing 55.28. 55.28 is Mancini's number. So that is the number we're going to use. 55.28. This is what we need to stay. We'll just put support. I'll put support. Heck. All right, let's do that. I can type. I just can't see my keyboard right now. And we're going to show the name on the right. So this is what I'm putting on the chart so that when I come to check back again throughout the day, I'll have an idea of where I'm at in relation to what all of this is doing. And normally I just go with whatever the support is. Obviously, we can put all the lines in if we so choose. StreamYard changed its setup, it looks like. So I like being able to just do my main screen and drag the screens that I want on here. I don't know what this thing is doing. Screen 1, 2. Let's try this. All right. So if you're interested in what happened on yesterday. This is yesterday's candles, 731. Did a gap up right here. Closed the previous day, 54.36. Gapped up to open at 55.05. Pushed back. We do have a little bit of a gap that is still left in here from yesterday. And actually, I don't want to use that. I'm going to put a new one in here for the gap. Right here. We'll take a look at it on the 15-minute chart as well. That is pretty much the one that I mostly am looking at anyway. If I'm looking at, I don't trade SPX, but I know plenty of people do. So this is the gap right here that is still left over. It actually pushed up into a gap as well, depending on how you had this charted. Some people may have had this as the leg in, one in the base with a gap down as a leg out. So it would be almost done filling this gap right here. If you chose to mark that. So that'll be another line you could put in there if you wanted to. But in terms of the 15-minute, this is what that looks like. Right here. So if you were trading the breakout yesterday morning, you would have put your lines here and here for your first 15 minutes. It did break out at 10 o'clock, but it turned around 11:30, kind of came back, retraced, and popped up above its high, which at the time at 10:30, the high was 55.29. So by the time we got to 245, it was up here. If you were, I mean, I was watching Russell, was not watching SPX, but I was interested in seeing if there was something that could have caused this. And keep in mind sometimes too, the other thing behind some of our movements with our stock, we might be looking at things like the Forex Factory calendar or investing.com. Some of those events may not be immediate triggers. Sometimes we don't find out until 2 or 3 weeks later that somebody sold X amount of shares of something, and that's what caused the drop as well. So there's always those multiple factors happening. But in terms of what happened on yesterday, that is the way that went down right there. So this created a little what I would consider to be a seller zone right here, leg in, two in the base, leg out. So we will see what is going to happen on today. But we got our Mancini support at 55.28. If anybody has any tickers they would like looked at, feel free to put those in the chat box. Once again, good morning to all of the people joining us live, as well as those of you who are on our replay. We appreciate you all tuning in as well. Truly appreciate it. If you are so inclined, I don't know if you all do this for SPX, but I won't get too deep in the weeds on this. But if you trade the breakout, what I started doing was going to the 15-minute chart and marking where these turnaround points are on the 15-minute chart. I mostly stay on the 15-minute chart during the day because I am trading Russell and watching it in terms of the PDT hack. So normally that's where I put my lines for my turnarounds. So we have let's see here. We have one of the movers, of course, was NVIDIA for this morning. Let's take a look at that. See what NVIDIA is talking about. Nvidia is doing its own thing right now, running like crazy. Is experiencing a pullback, which is causing some people to panic, in my opinion, unnecessarily. But what do I know? Nvidia is not going anywhere. Right, so here's what we got. Created this buyer zone. Yesterday's candle. This is a abnormally large base candle right here, but it did create a buyer zone right here. So we'll mark that. This is what it looks like. That's an ugly leg in, but to be honest with you, what's really happening on this one is this. If you want to consider this push up a leg in, base, leg out, what really happened was this. Price came into this area and turned around. This is a buyer's gap. Buyers pushed up, right? A force of orders, a rush of orders created this space right in here. And so this is a buyer's gap. So it came in here and started filling this gap, filling this space right here. So we can literally go like this and mark that to what space is left over. But it did not even come down all that far. It is right. This is up here. Obviously, again, another gap. So this is pushing its way up into the seller zone. I'll be marking that something like this for the gap that's there. And something like that. So depending on what your trading proclivities are, depending on what's happening today, I personally would be down here. But that's Chicken Little talking. I don't play around. So tomorrow we'll be closing it. If I was looking to do something, I will be looking at, what is that? Might not even be any premiums where I'm looking, but the market is closed right now. But based on this, we will be looking at about 112, right? So 112 will be somewhere in here, according to this. But I don't know. So that's where I'll be looking at. That's about 80% out the money on that 112. And above that would be somewhere about 123, which would be up here-ish. All right. And again, this is happening. The market isn't in effect right now. But if we were doing 123, 124, one spread, you can collect 15 on that. 15 cents or $15 on that. 113 or 112. 113 is 77% out the money. So that would be 19. I'm more likely to do 112. So that's 17 cents. I would definitely watch it though, but I can't see why this wouldn't be an iron condor opportunity potentially. So I would definitely keep my eye on that just to be on the safe side. But again, I like this gap being here, providing support, and this gap here providing some resistance. And I'm looking at that on the daily. I do know that there are people who trade the 4-hour and they focus on that. So this is what the 4-hour chart will look like. And oh yeah, I don't have the I don't have my normal. I don't have this is a live, so I don't have my normal study set loaded right now. Yeah, I don't like this one. So yeah, that's what that looks like on the 4-hour. It's right here. Definitely in the seller zone on the 4-hour chart. Looks like it's could be trying to push his way up still, but who knows? But this would be something to watch in that regard. All right. Okay. I don't see any tickers. SPX, well, SPY. I know a lot of people like SPY. Let's take a look at SPY. SPY is running up. Normally, I would go to the monthly and do top down, but I mean, really, it's running up like crazy. So it's doing its thing. This looks like a potential head and shoulders formation. Shoulder, head, shoulder. So that looks like, which would be this head and shoulder formation, a reversal. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm saying that's what it kind of looked like. So, I don't know. That's what it reminds me of. No guarantees on that, but so what I would do is watch it and be anticipating that something could change. I would expect maybe some type of retracement down and somewhere around 540 maybe as the neckline where it may break. Who knows? But let's say if we did something like that. Well, I'll be looking at something like that, potential reversal. But if we zoom in a little bit on SPY, you can probably see that it came up and this was the same. We just looked at SPX, so this is what SPY did when it gapped up, got rejected. Sellers, this was a seller gap as well. Sellers pushed down, strong amount right there. This sometimes can be a little bit tricky because this looks like it would be leg in base and that this one is automatically going to come down. But sometimes what can happen is that it'll go leg in base and then head up further up. So with what we have going on for earnings this week or today, and some of the things that are happening, this would be something to definitely watch at market open. I definitely wouldn't jump in right away on this one. I would give SPY a little bit of time to settle. Just a tad bit of time to settle. All right, but that's what I'm looking at for SPY. But it wouldn't surprise me if this ends up reversing sometime soon and coming back down. This is based on what I'm looking at there. I don't see any tickers, so I'm gonna move on to Russell 2000. IWM Russell 2000. IWM is the ETF for Russell 2000. And I've actually was charting. Actually, we used to trade IWM more. That's how I started charting it in the beginning. So I've been charting it for the longest. This is where it's at right now. Matter of fact, let's go. This one we'll do top from the top. So it is running up lately, kind of like everything else. Russell 2000 is the small cap stocks. It is a subset of the Russell 3000, believe it or not. All right. Listed outside of London. I think it's a London Stock Exchange Group, if I'm not mistaken. Right. So let's come pull this down here. And let's activate this one. Something like that. Switch to weekly. Drop another one in here. Something like that. See what we come up with when we get to daily. I'll even put one down here. I like that one. And let's do this one. All right, so I'm just looking at some swing points to see where prices turn around on those. Here's another one. I like this one. Actually, we can put it up here for the daily. But this is also showing us where the buyer zone is. Leg in, base, leg out. Is the buyer zone right there. And technically, you could probably put another one up here somewhere because prices turned around in a couple times up here. But for right now, this was a run up, and this looks like our lows are getting higher. But the highs are technically getting higher too. So got a couple things happening at the same time. So we said north to south, highs getting higher. See, that could be either one of these, my opinion. Either one of those could be it. Ascending triangle or rising wedge. So we'll be looking to see as it continues to fill. We'll look to see what'll happen right here. But this was a strong rejection up here from sellers. That is for sure. Matter of fact, we can add that one in there. All right. Put this one in too. All right. So what we'll be looking for today is to wait and see what goes down with the breakout. Let's go 15 minutes. This is what happened with Russell on yesterday. You'll notice that it moves a little bit differently than SPX does. But what I like about it, so this was the 15-minute candle, the first 15 right here. But what this one did, it turned around and dropped. It finally went up like SPX did at the end of the day. So did the same thing, but it was a slow rise on its way up. So that's what when, matter of fact, I'm sorry, I'm back an extra day. It actually started right here, but it did the same thing though. Started off here to here, dropped, rose up around, and then finally broke through around 2:30 and just fell off a cliff once it hit this point. Who knows what was happening right there? So that's what's going on for that. So we will be watching this for the first 15 minutes and doing the PDT hack for that. Just a quick note. We do have free charting webinar. If you are so interested, we have a free charting webinar. Right? Startwiththechart.com. Go ahead and check that out. If you are looking to learn more about charting or boost your charting knowledge or add to your charting knowledge base, highly encourage you to check that out. Definitely some good information in there. That can definitely make you stronger charter, in my opinion. Tips and tricks, in my opinion, to help you out with that. I see a request for Micron MU. So this is what Micron looks like overall. It is on the run up. It's pulling back currently. There's a very strong seller zone on the monthly chart. Man, when this thing got to 157, that's a serious rejection right there. Micron, if you're not familiar with it, it is one of the semiconductor stocks. So if you trade SOXL, technically XLK, SMH, some of those, Micron will be in those. Technically, I guess you can consider it a competitor to NVIDIA, but they operate with different tools in the same space. So let's see here. What we got. We're gonna do. I know Micron from building computers, and I mostly was buying them because of their memory chips. They have expanded well beyond that. They are in the data center space, pretty strong now. But their history is memory chips, just like NVIDIA's history is graphics cards, but they've expanded as well. All right. So this is what I'm looking at. This is what I see for Micron. Micron had a gap over here, and it is filling this gap. So let's mark that, which is also showing us a buyer zone. I see a buyer zone, leg in, base, leg out right here. So that's what I see as a buyer zone right there. But this is the space for the gap from here to here. We're looking at a daily chart. So that's what we'll do. Let's go. This green line is what we're going to do for our buyer zone. Matter of fact, do it this way. Got that marked, and I'm going to bring this line down a little bit more so I can include this candle in the zone, but I'm actually charting this candle right here as the base. Leg in, base, leg out. You know, over here, it looks like it's trying to figure out what it wants to do. There's a whole lot of mixture of opinion on what it wants to do over here, but it is definitely bearish currently. So what we're gonna do is gap up here. This section right here makes me feel like well, two things. Number one, this is telling me that there's resistance up here because of this gap, and there's support down here because of this gap. In terms of what we would normally look at for quote unquote standard formation, I really don't see a clear one. I wouldn't want to force anything, but the only thing that I see, you know, in terms of strong candles would be leg in, base, leg out for a chair formation up here. That's the only thing that I see that stands out as clear. That being said, however, when you have like a lot of this lack of clarity and, you know, and I guess you could say indecision, where these are not clear, the other alternative, I do see this right here. Excuse me. So it will be leg in, one in the base, leg out. If you were doing this right here, I don't know how I feel about that as a something is definitely happening right here that I can say for sure. So I'm going to put that in gray because that's obviously something that's going down right here. When something is happening, I just put it in gray. If I can't figure out what it is. So this looks like it could have been the seller zone. Leg in, one in the base, leg out, something like that. I don't like these as leg outs because of the pressure, but I can see if somebody went leg in, you know, leg in, two in the base, leg out. I could see why somebody would do it that way. To get more clarity, I would rather either go to the 4-hour chart to see if I see something, or to the weekly chart to see if I see something. This is okay, but this is not really what I would consider to be clear on the 4-hour. So I'll look at the weekly and see what the weekly says. And what the weekly says is leg in, two in the base, leg out. So I'll be going right here. I'll be using these numbers and going from there. So let's do that. All right. So remember, we got a gap that happened. So leg in, two in the base, leg out. That is a chair formation. All right. We're actually still good with all of this other stuff. So let's go to the daily. And we're gonna show the prices on the right. All righty. 127-ish at the top. It didn't show me anything in here. We got 109 as our current price. Tomorrow's expiration, so you will be only in this for about 1 day. I will be going somewhere in here, 105, 106, 106 for one spread. This is 77% out the money for sellers. Again, market's not open, but that would be 17 cents, $17. I see no reason why one would not consider a iron condor in this situation, the potential iron condor. 22 cents if we use 114, 115. That's pretty decent return. So over 30% return. Because we have both of these zones sitting here. The thing to keep in mind, just to make sure we're clear, Micron currently does not have earnings, but if I'm not mistaken, let me see. I don't know when Micron's earnings are, but I do know Let's see. All right, so we know I don't know what Micron's earnings are, but who do we just see? I'm looking for one of the other semiconductors, Intel. So even though Micron may not have earnings, Intel has earnings. Intel is a competitor. Competitors sometimes do trade together or are impacted by each other. So you want to definitely pay attention to what is going on with Intel. And I can tell you that recently Intel has been bearish quite a bit. So keep that in mind when trading Micron. But outside of that, all numbers being equal, seems like there might be something like a 30%, 30% return on collateral for Micron, maybe for Iron Condor. So I definitely will be watching the market for that. All right. We will check to see if there's anything else. Oh, I see Goog. Look at Goog. I like that Micron choice. I am not trading anything other than Russell, other than Ruts right now. Felt like I was getting a little overwhelmed with all the different strategies that are available. So I started freezing everything out and was like, let me focus on getting one of these good first. Let me slowly start adding other stuff in. So I'm just focusing on the PDT hack right now and Russell until I can build up some steam, and then we'll rebuild the toolbox accordingly. But I do, since I'm a tech guy, I do follow tech and I do trade tech. So I definitely like Micron. I like a lot of these tech stocks. So Google has been doing this thing. If you're not aware, they've been in the whole battle with the AI stuff, and you know, trying to battle for supremacy with Microsoft and C3 AI and everybody else. I will say, even though I really don't care too much for all of the being forced, I don't care for being forced to use AI the way people tend to do it. I will say that when people look for devices to trade with, I usually recommend Google Chromebook because most of the brokers have a web version, and I'll speak for Thinkorswim. I'm cool with Thinkorswim's web version, and if you have a Chromebook, you really don't need to have a quote unquote standard powerful laptop if you're not going to be doing any back testing. And you can always plug up the Chromebook to if you have an HDMI cable, you can do a dual monitor setup. Let's say you have an extra TV or whatever that has an HDMI cable, you can plug up a Chromebook directly to it and get a really good trading setup. So I can definitely say it's been years. I let my mom borrow mine, and basically somehow by osmosis, I ended up not having my Chromebook. She became that neighbor to borrow borrows your lawnmower, you never get it back. That's what she did to the kid. That Chromebook, and we didn't even have I didn't even have a Chromebook with the biggest screen, but it was definitely very clear and you know, good device for what I used it for. So you know, if you're waiting to buy a machine or something like that so you can start trading or something like that, you definitely don't need to do that. You can definitely do what you need to do on a lot of the web version. So I'm looking at Google. This is on the daily chart. I just been putting in the swing points on the different charts. I see right here we have a gap that Google is trying to fill. And I'm gonna make sure we acknowledge that. And here's another gap right here that is above current price. Acknowledge that. All right. And just like that, we have a buyer zone that has a little bit of a gap. Jesus Christ, what's going on? Google is gapping. My goodness. It's another gap right here that it is filling up. But this is the buyer zone, leg in, base, leg out, but a little bit of a gap. Right above it is this gap. So we got some resistance up here. We got some support here. And I'm gonna put the prices on these gaps right here so you can see them. 165 on the right, 177. Yep. So what I will be doing here is marking that. And there's your leg in base. We got a gap up. This is not a huge leg out. So depending on how you judge the strength of your zones, that might be a factor. But just in terms of the overall formation, this definitely came down. This is a buyer's gap. Actually, this should be here. This get pushed up, so the buyers are. Don't be surprised if this comes back down, and don't be surprised if this kind of stays between here a little bit, because this seems to be, if this is 166 to 157, so yeah, it's about $9. I don't know what Google is per. I don't know what the ATR is, but let's see. Oh, I don't even have it on here. Keep forgetting this is my live one. All right. I thought it was like $4, maybe. Something like that. So it wouldn't surprise me if it bounces in between here a little bit. I'm going to add this in for the top to give us a seller zone. So we said leg in, base, leg out. Bring that down for you. So again, this right here is the gap. And show price on the right. Just so happens where this gap is about where the same line would be to mark the seller zone, really. So 183. So I would be looking first. Guess it doesn't matter, but I would think. All right. So I would do one. Oh, Google is 2.5 spread. This is looking. And unless I'm on the wrong, I'm in the right area. Yeah, I'll be waiting till the market opens to even try to make any type of determination on this. 160, 167. Some of your premiums. Well, I mean, I guess it is one day. So this would be 17 cents if you're trying to do expiration for tomorrow, getting in today. I wouldn't do that. I prefer about 10% on that. But again, that's if you're trying to get in and expire for tomorrow's expiration. If you did 177, 180, 2.5 spread, pick up a little bit more between the two, you would definitely have over 10%. I would imagine. If you wanted to go to next week, I probably would be looking somewhere in here. 167.5 ish. 75%. That's over 10%. I would be collecting on that side for 33 cents, $33. And I would say 180, 180-ish, something like that. 36. So I'll be more than 10% on both. Going for next week. Definitely have to watch to see what happens with the market. But yeah, I'll be looking at those numbers. Lady T says she has a Chromebook. Yes. Chromebook, loved it. Loved it. Still love it, even though my mama took it. So we were at the bell. I wasn't even paying attention to, I was not paying attention to the time. I apologize. My apologies. So here's what we'll do. We're gonna go with, let's go with this, and there you go. We at least want to circle back around to our pre-market. Dow up 0.12%, S&P futures up 0.35%, NAS futures up 0.16%, the VIX down 0.73% to 16.24. We have, let's see here if we got any more extra information. Our non-farm productivity quarter over quarter was better than projected. That was a 2-star event. Our unit labor cost quarter over quarter for quarter 2 was less than projected, and that was 2-star in terms of that. E2T daily declaration. By faith, I'm a successful trader. I'm a wise and knowledgeable trader. I make smart and lucrative decisions for my portfolios. Money likes me. Because money is comfortable around me, it is drawn to me. Don't forget to stop by E2T, our educatortotrader.com. You can join our membership. You can also get freebies, E2T-freebies.com. We have things going on, a nice little list, a cache, if you will, of freebies. So please swing by there and check out what we have for you. Great tools for you. E2T Daily Prayer, Lord. Give us wisdom and knowledge for our trades today. Help us to make smart and lucrative decisions for our portfolios. All right. Thank you, everybody, for swinging through and hanging out with us. I am going to go sneak over here and see what's going on with SPX and get a look-see on. I don't have no vested interest in SPX right now, so I don't have to worry about stalking the trade or nothing like that. But that's normally what my temperament is. But anyway, thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, you can find us actually in Telegram. We do have our Telegram, our weekly get together, our weekly training is happening this evening. So if you're a part of the membership, we will be having that question and answers. So bring whatever questions you have, and we will do what we can to answer them to get you up and running towards profitability. All right. Thank y'all so much. We appreciate seeing all of you. You all stay green, get this money. Have a great day. Lady T, Tamar, Janae, we appreciate you. Ward, thank you for showing up. Stacy, thank you for showing up. Deborah, Speller, B. Spencer, Karen C. Saida, Marsha Dawson, thank you for swinging by. We appreciate y'all. Lisa Henry, thank you for hanging out with us. If you have any questions, you can always come back and post the questions here. Just make sure you tag us in it so we'll know and we'll answer whatever questions you have. Have a great trading day.